Alrighty, well, I did some searching online. It's hard to find videos on the 2018 V-Star for oddball things like turn signals and stuff. But I did learn one thing I showed in an earlier video, where a wire wasn't put in the grommet or under the seat or something. It's got two little tubular like fused connectors that go through a grommet under the rear fender and everything. And this one guy was building the bobber out of one, an earlier one, and he showed that the wiring harness for each one is clipped on the inside of the rear fender to keep it out of the tire and all that. And these two connectors I found sticking out of a grommet under the driver's seat, rider's seat, whatever, are the ones you have to unplug that, and you can pull the whole harness out. And there's two single wires. I might have the right gauge to lengthen, so I can put the turn signals on that license plate adapter that takes the turn signals, so you can relocate them, but they would be lower and further back, even with a car's bumper, instead of like I'm going to do by adding some angle steel bolt brackets to that relocation bracket. Instead of putting a license plate on it, I'll put a cat-eye taillight in the middle, and the turn signals, of course, on the end tabs where they're supposed to go. Like, I'll show you this when I get to that part on part 2 of the video, which I'm going to start now. And just lengthen the wires, the single wires that comes out of that tubing thing that runs inside the fender, and I'll have to see if I got some more silicone vacuum line I used to use on my probe tuner to put on there to lengthen that and, tape up the seams and everything. So that looks like that's what I'm going to have to do. I'll have to pull the whole harness out to actually I don't know how to get the harness separated from the turn signal stalk itself, and nobody else seems to know yet on the Facebook group. So that's what we're going to do, and I'll show you that when I get to it. Okay, getting ready to do a little more part 2 of the video here. You can see the way these straps here are crossed. It's making that hang out a little bit. I can get to pull them up about like that. Once I get those straight with each other, lace them up and all of that. I got to cut the eyelets out where the stud's sticking up there for the rear seat and sissy bar nut. But anyways, it'll be like that. It'll be a bit more like that once I get those out. You can't unplug the wires from the dang thing. I don't know why. You got to take the harness out all the way up under the curve of the rider's seat there, and back above where it goes through that little hole there's some clips the harness sits in, so I gotta mess with that. Okay, I got to where I can just lean this thing upward to get the seat out and the belts and the straps for the saddlebags and all that, but there's this little hole here, and there's A metal clip, you know, some of the older ones got like 3 or 4 like U-clips with a little tab on it right in here. This thing has one about that long that the harness here sits in, and it works its way up into here. So I got to take the seat off with these 2 bolts there, and got to work the harness through this hole here with the little slide plug thingies. Okay, now there's two of these taillight wire or turn signal wires, whatever, on both sides, like I said. So I'm marking them like L1 and L2 for left 1, left 2, the 1 being on the inside. And I'll go over there and mark those, R1 and R2. But you see this little part right here? That's missing on this one, and it was unplugged. So there's something wrong. Something wrong there. The seal thingy, somebody must have tore it off trying to take the turn signals out or something. I really don't know. So in other words, I'm at least the second owner. Everybody learns to ride on these things, and maybe inside of a year or so, or after the riding season, by next season, they're selling it to get a down payment on something bigger and faster, bigger and faster, and bigger and faster, 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 faster. That's stupid. This is one of the greatest little cruiser bikes ever made, and it's basically a Japanese Sportster, because it's the same size as a mid-80s Sportster, just the engine's smaller, and it's made lighter and junk like that. 326 pounds wet versus 583 for a Sportster. So it's really cool. I'm getting it cleaned out enough before I put in the new air cleaner on the right side. This one draws air, but I don't think there's a filter in it, or I'm not sure. But it's, you know, when you rev it up about mid-range to about maybe mid-range and then back out of it, it gets that kind of thing going like a sport bike. That's another way it sounds like a sport bike, even though it's a cruiser. But being a Japanese Sportster, even Sportsters, the key word is sport. Sporty acceleration and torque, sporty handling, stuff like that. So we'll get this done and see if we can get these darn taillights out of there. This is going to be a pain in the ass here. Somebody tried to pull these out before, and they okay, I see what's happening there. This thing got pulled off of that one from trying to pull it through that damn tight grommet. Yeah. Bit of a sticky wicket. What? Well, we'll see what we can do. I got to get those out of there so I can get these out, which are going to be on that relocation bracket, which will be riveted on about here for that, with the cat eye tail light in the middle of the bracket. I got to cut a hole for that, and then the turn signals made to go on either side of the bracket, which is supposed to be right there where you put the turn signals down by the tail light. I mean by the plate. But I'm going to put it up here so basically the tail lights move from here to sticking out like about there, so it's further back and higher up, make them more noticeable. Besides the lights shining off it and sparkling on all those conchos and studs and stuff on the saddlebags. And even that fender, I wish they'd have made the back of the fender like the Sportster, where you got that little lip sticking up. That would have been badass. Really a shame that they changed that. Because the taillight is like a Sportster, except this bezel, the chrome bezel thingy, is wider. The one for the Sportster is about as wide as my finger. So you start looking at 80s Sportsters and you look at this thing and you really see that 80s Sportster vibe. That's when the Sportster looked its best, I thought, was like in the mid 80s. Okay, I got the turn signal out of the hole. It pulled out of this grommet right there pretty easy, even though I got the one for the taillight also running through there. I think that's pretty sure that's for the taillights, so I might have to go through it. I got them like marked R1 and R2 for the turn signal. The yellow wire is R3, and I think this is for the taillights, R4. That's how I mark them, so I know 1 is inside, 2 is outside, and 3 is the yellow one, R4 is the double. Stuff like that. Just keep stuff like that in your head when you do something like this. That's going to look better. Oh, change hands here. Here is the whole assembly. And that'll go in that hole there. I got to lengthen it to, between, like, back here. It'll be about like that, roughly, with that relocation bracket. You can get them in chrome too, but I thought the black looked better since it's a black bike. You don't want to see the bracket, you want to see what's mounted on it. So that should make the turn signals a lot easier to see. It's too bad the rear turn signals don't light up all the time like the front ones do. You got to have 3 lights across the front by law. That's really old law. Make you more visible and all that. But anyway, got it apart. I'll get both of these turn signals out, and then I got to take I got the saddlebags in the house where I got to use a rotary file on the Dremel to cut to file out the inside of those eyelets. So the inside and outside of the eyelet will just fall off when I cut through the sheet steel it's stamped out of. And then I can put these together on the bracket and cut holes in the bracket for the cat eye and all that stuff. Okay, got the left side out. Still got the bolt in that one, so I know which side that goes on. But the other plug thing there didn't have the plastic thing on it, got pulled down inside the sheath. So I got to pluck around and dig that out. But I took the grommets out. I just pulled this one because you got that other stuff on there I'm not going to unplug. It was sticking out partially anyway, like it wasn't pushed all the way back in. So somebody had this shit apart before and fucked it up trying to get them out. And being a ham-handed mechanic, can't do that sometimes, folks. You got to be patient and take your time. You rip the harness up, and then you got problems. Because those are a lot of these are specially made for the factory that you don't get from the store. You got to find something else to take its place. Although these look a bit more common than what Ford used, save for plugs like this. And you can pull each terminal out of those too to redo wires and junk like that. They're made like that, so that's good. And ignition box. And of course, your fuses. Motor horns are some of the black wires hooking up there. So I got to go through those. I got one on the right side there that's wrong. I might have burned them out, being too large of a gauge of wire for that particular part of the circuit. So I was sure I was watching, but I guess I messed up one of them. Okay, anyway, here is, put it up here, the well, it's you put the license plate in these slots there at the bottom of the fender with the turn signals on that, but I'm gonna make some angle steel bolt brackets to put on there, to put it just kind of behind that reflector above the main tail light. I think it's pretty big. And sort of set this down. And the cat eye tail light will fit horizontally in between here. I gotta find it. I gotta put a hole for the stud and the nut and everything, and another one for the wires. To line that up real careful. So then I got to get out and get my temps again, and then go stop and get at the F It Up Yourself store and get what I need to the angle steel, and like I can take the Dremel and shape it and paint them black to match this. So I can put it. I can put rivets, the wide head body rivets that are about that big around, and pop rivets. I got a gun that takes different nozzles to put the different to work the different kind of rivets. I got all kinds of them in my toolbox outside somewhere. But that'll look pretty good. I just basically the mounting bracket, and the cover I'm going to make for it is going to look like the Martian Cobra head stock weapon from the 1953 original version of War of the Worlds. So when that cat eye lights up, it's going to look like that particle beam stock weapon firing up. I want to see if I can get these in green, you know what I mean? Like the wingtip energized plasma weapons. Just as an example, lightning is energized plasma. So it's basically a form of lightning that's been magnetized. The light waves or particles, whichever they are, line up basically. So I get those in green, it would look kind of cool. It would look like those wingtip plasma weapons were pulsing, you know. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. I gotta check on the legality of that, see if I can even... Well, another thing too is... Oh, it's going blurry again. Why does that do that? Another thing too is maybe take some clear ones and spray them that kind of green, like on the Martian war machines, and the license plate light for the cat eye, that's on the bottom of the cat eye tail light. I'll paint that the same color, like a clear green, so you get really get the effect of the Martian war machines. The bike is basically going to be like, well, I named it Gort, you know, the original RoboCop from the day the Earth stood still, 51, and I will make the headlight look like that stock-mounted Martian eye thing, that, like a TV camera that mimics their own eye, and the headlight will look like that. Well, it's going to be, the theme for the bike is going to be post-war sci-fi. Okay, now that I've found this moto iron cat eye tail light, and I got the relocated and all this stuff rigged. It fits between these these slotted holes here where the license plate would normally go. Oh, I forgot to. Oh, son of a pup. Line it up between the slots, and I've got to get it in the middle. Grease pencils come in handy. And as I said, I'm going to paint this like a translucent green, because they got that big fat stock taillight down here, and this one's going to be up about here, you know, between those and all that. I'm going to make it look like the Martian Cobra had stock weapon with tripod legs, so it'd be more like a Martian drone clinging to the fender. I thought that'd be kind of cool. And this painted translucent green candy green or something would shine down on the back fender above the big fat stock tail light with bezel and all that. Since it's not shining on the license plate as it would normally be intended, they can't say that you can't make that green. These can't be made green either, they got to be amber. In Ohio and most states, what the state trooper station told me. But use these here to make the holes. And once I get that mounted on there, I'm going to drill a hole to. Oh, that thing got pushed in that. Well, anyway, it's got to fit this thing here. I'd take it apart and push that back out again. Dumb thing. These grommets are pretty weak. Pin connectors, that was interesting. But I'll have two tail lights and the turn signals on top of the rear fender just above the factory tail light. So they'll be further back and higher up. They're about almost 3 inches in diameter, so I'll put it further up and back where people behind me can't claim they didn't see me. If they got the light, got two tail lights and the turn signals right up high, like just above the back of the tail bags where you just can't see, you didn't see it because it's, you know, like I said, it's further back and higher up where it should be right in your face. Okay, I used my Dremel here, the speed controls built into these newer ones. With this pointed rotary file here from a set I got on it was Amazon or Temu. That's half of one of the eyelets I ground out. Okay, now you can see down there, I took the second one out. This is the back side, the part that faces the back of the bike, since this is the left side saddlebag. So on each one of them I got to take the second eyelet out of the back row, the backward facing row, that is to say. Take that out because the eyelets stacked on top of each other are as thick as the tab and grommet that mount the passenger seat to that stud that the sissy bar also mounts to. So I had to take the eyelets out to make it sit flatter, lower, and like that to be able to get everything to go on. If that stud was even an eighth of an inch longer, these sort of mods would be way easier. Besides the eyelets being stamped steel would hold to the stud a lot tighter in the back. And then you go here, 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 and here, with that black braided lace thing to tie it up. So let me see if I can show you, because they're sitting like this from the pictures you see me posting, and they got to be like this in order to take the bags like this and pull them up like that and inward so they stand up straight at the proper angle and all that. So now I got to do the other one. It's kind of hard to film and show it the way I have to hold the bag and the Dremel and everything. Okay, I got this one out a little faster. This is the right side bag, so this would be the second one on the back row again. So now I can get this part here will be behind this little pedestal about yay big the stud sticks out of, to strengthen it, I would assume, and provide a solid mount for the passenger seat tab. And then I'll have to, when the lace goes through here, I'm going to have to X them across there so it doesn't get in the way of this and the little pedestal the stud sits on that this goes over. And I gotta use one of my cleaners to get those grease pencil circles off of there too. But I'll be doing that last. I had 4 or 5 coats of turtle wax dashing glass on these. You get them outside and you can see where it looks kind of dirty. I don't know if it's the way the light hits it. Because there's no fingerprints that you can see, save for, you know, these circles I had to draw to punch the center point and all that, as I showed you in the previous videos. So now we got to work on that turn signal relocator to mount that cat eye tail light on it. And I got to lengthen the wires you see hanging down there, because it's going to be up on the back of the fender and all of that now. This is going to be cool when I get it done, but boy, it's a lot of work. And as an interesting aside, here's what one of the eyelets looks like when you take it out. These are the sides that face outward. I got the tools and stuff for mounting snaps on stuff that are a lot like this. You can see these little rims sticking up right there. That's what goes through, and when you use a special cylindrical base tool with a shape on the top and the punches, when you put one side through the outside and the other side up through from the inside and smack it with a hammer, it goes together like that. Just so you know, eyelets are similar to snap installation, like on jackets or coats or shirts or whatever. Okay, I took these eyelets out of there, as you saw in the earlier part of the video. But this thing, from lifting it up and down, pivoting it, it got scooted forward, so I gotta take a rubber mallet, smack it right here on both sides to knock it backwards a little bit. And once I get those mounts on there, it'll be about like that. I have to see this all that long sissy bar bag, fork bag is going to can fit under here. All the way back there, the belts will wrap around those two, and That'll be after I get the straps tied together and the mounts on down there. I gotta drill holes in the fender. Let's see. They might hang down far enough, the bracket, those U-shaped brackets with the pivot points and all that I bought. It's been a while since I showed them. You'll see in a bit. But these silver plated stamped steel conchos have a real nice shine to them, so they'll act like reflectors. And right about where this stock reflector is, you used to be able to buy an LED one, but they discontinued them. By the time I decided I could have just swapped it out, this one out for that one, but I got to take this whole thing out. Anyway, the front of the cat-eye tail light will be about where this is, maybe a little behind it, but thereabouts. So I have two tail lights. The turn signals will be up about here. Hopefully it won't stick up, over top of that, but we'll see. It'll be close. Okay, I'm up to almost 32 minutes here, so I'm going to try to keep these down about half an hour, so I'll end this one here. And in part 3, I'll do all the mounts, and we'll sub-assemble the turn signal and taillight relocator bracket, and we'll get all that done then. I got to get my temps again pretty soon so I can ride this thing, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go up to Giant Eagle, but like earlier in the morning or something. It's up on the corner from my street. Anyway, I'm gonna do the parking lot lines, S-curves, and start and stop and stuff like that as much as I can. But keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down, y'all. I'm gonna keep working on this thing. I kind of wish I'd have just wrote it first, but it is what it is. So we'll see you next time.